What is up? What is up? I have here YouTube, I have here Instagram, and today we're going to talk about Khloe Kardashian and Tristan Thompson. We're going to talk about her having another kid with Tristan Thompson. So I've been watching all over social media. People have been reacting. People have been bashing her. People have been coming for her. I'm going to sit up a little bit. Yeah, so people are bashing her. People are coming for her. They are upset. They are upset that Khloe, our girl Khloe, is having another kid with Tristan. And I understand both perspectives. And I'm going to look at this. I want to talk about, first of all, the types of people that are coming after Khloe. And then I'm going to address Khloe and what I think her perspective could be. So let me begin by talking about the types of people that are coming after Khloe for this and what I am noticing, right? I think a lot of people, just in general, it seems on the surface, look, he doesn't have a good reputation, Tristan. He's cheating on her. He's disgracing her. So it just seems like the most logical thing that she would break up with him. But as we know, in real life, how many of you that are watching, how many of you in this world have stayed in a relationship when you were being cheated on? How many of you, and I'm not saying that that's a standard that you should accept, and if you don't accept it, that's good on you. But let's also remember, if we approach this world from a place of empathy and understand other people's perspectives and not think that our perspective is the only valid way to live life, let's just approach this from an empathetic, understanding perspective. Think about all the people and how they may have stayed in a relationship when somebody was cheating. And is cheating, when it comes down to the interpersonal relationship with your children, is cheating that bad? Okay, before I move forward, let me just break down where Khloe could be coming from and where I think she's coming from, right? We've noticed a pattern with all the Kardashians. They have kids with the same man. Kim has done it. Kim has done it. Kourtney has done it. What's her name? Kylie has done it. Even Kourtney, when we knew that Scott was terrible and he was also cheating, right? We knew he was doing all of that. But Kourtney stayed with him and continued to have children, continued to procreate with him. And I think it's actually kind of interesting if there's a double standard around that, because Scott never got any backlash for cheating on Khloe. And we know Kourtney. And we know that he did this multiple times. He never got any backlash. But it's funny how Tristan is getting backlash. Is it because, there's an image around black men and cheating? And I'm going to talk about the differences in another video. I'm going to break down the differences between black men and white men when it comes to their image, the way the media loves to position black men versus white men. And white men do the same thing sometimes, a lot of times. But for some reason, when a black man does it, there's this extra effort to bash him. But let's stay on track. So all the Kardashians have had all their kids are from the same baby daddy, right? Where would they get that from? Could it be perhaps because all of them grew up in a family, right, that was they have half siblings. They have half siblings and they have step siblings. And when you think about the interpersonal relationship between half siblings and real siblings, there's a lack of I will say there are a few things that there's lacking, right? Because you share different parents. So you're going to have different cultures, different sets of home training, different ways of seeing the world. So that's the first thing. You're culturally going to be different. You're going to have different home training. You're going to see the world differently. There's something about being with a sibling, that a full blood sibling, both of you have the same parents. And when I say full blood sibling, this could apply to somebody that was adopted, but if you grew up in a household with the same parents, right, and you didn't have other parents come into the equation, right, you're going to have the same mindset. You're going to have the same way that you sort of conduct life. Like I have siblings, right? I have two of my sisters, full blood. And I literally will say things and they say it's like we're twins. Like they will say the same exact thing the way that I would say it. And I think that speaks volumes. And I think the bond that we see Khloe, Kourtney, Kim, and Rob have comes from that, right? And so then when you now include half siblings into the equation, so you look at, the Kardashians and, and the Jenners, and by the Jenners, I'm talking about, what's her name? Kendall and Kylie. When you look at their relationship, right? Then you can see, even when you watch the show, you can see that there is not a lack of loyalty, but there is less loyalty to the other siblings. There's a different way that they conduct themselves, and there's a looser bond between Khloe, Kourtney, Khloe, Kourtney, Kim, Rob, and the other two. There's a looser bond, and you could say Rob maybe because he's a boy, so he may even be removed from that. But if we just look at it from the girls, Khloe, Kourtney, Kim, that bond that they have, that unity they have, that's just what they're showing us on the show. That's what they're showing us on the surface. But when you really think and you look deep into it, Khloe, Kourtney, and Kim are going to have their own group chat. They're going to have their own secrets that they share with each other. Also, the age is a big factor, right? They're around the same age, but also they have a tighter bond. They might not want to brand it that way. They might want to play happy family. But when we look at when this happens in the real world, they're going to have a tighter bond than their half siblings. That's just the way it works. There is more loyalty to your full siblings when the blood is thicker. Yes, of course, in some instances, you're going to have people of the same, parentage, etc. You're going to have them, they're going to have different versions of that. But most cases, I'm just looking at averages. I'm generalizing here. But from my experience, what I've seen in the world, most cases, you're going to see full blood siblings are going to be the closest, and half siblings, well, that's secondary. Then let's include the equation of having step siblings. Now, I feel like step siblings they're not even real siblings. Step siblings, how many people actually consider their step sibling your real sibling? And maybe they are. Okay, let me not say that, because it also depends when you met them, right? I really do believe, like they say, when you meet people, it's like when you have friends from high school or friends from middle school. You're going to be the closest with those friends, and then you're going to be with your friends from college. There's just a tighter bond because you guys have grown up together. You guys have known each other from a younger age than, people that you meet in college. And when it comes to step siblings, depending on when you met them and how tight of a bond or how close you guys were growing up, that's going to determine how close you are in adulthood, right? And then when in the case of step siblings, there's even that division that I was talking about, that difference in culture, that difference in family ties, that difference in loyalty, it's going to be way more pronounced. So what I'm just going at is that this is what Khloe has experienced in her childhood, in her growing up. So why on earth would Khloe want her child to have a different father, her two children to have different fathers, if she doesn't have to do that? Why would she want to do that if she doesn't have to? If she's in an option where she has a decent relationship with her father or with her baby father, she's having a surrogate. She's having a surrogate. So she might not even be in a relationship with him, but she might have decided, look, we are great co-parents. Even if she's in a relationship with him, that's her business. But when you look deeper, right? We are co-parents. We co-parent well together. And they've talked about this. He might be a cheater. He might be all these bad things, but she has said he's a good co-parent. So she has already done this with this man. The best indicator of your past the best indicator of your future is your past. So he's already proven that he's a good parent, right, to their child. Why would it be a bad idea for her to get a surrogate with his sperm? So people are conflating these things. They're taking the issue of him being a bad partner in a relationship, and they're taking the idea of him being a parent, and they're conflating them together. And I think you have to separate it, because at the end of the day, it's not like we just heard Khloe is pregnant. We heard that she has a surrogate. Yes, they are claiming that this egg was conceived, I believe frozen and conceived before she found out about him having another child. Yes, that's a case, right? But at the end of the day, this, it's a surrogate. She's not giving birth to his child, another child of his. She's having her own child, or she's having a surrogate have this child. So when it comes to that, having your children have the same father that's the smartest thing. That's the most important thing that a parent could do. Let's think about this trend that's going on across social media of the baby daddy that is giving even though I'm going to break that down in another video, the McDonald's baby mama thing, where we have McDonald's, this baby daddy brings McDonald's for his child, and this woman has 3 other kids by I don't know how many other dads, and this baby daddy only brought McDonald's for his child. Why would you, that situation is real. That situation is truthful. So why would you want a situation like that to occur, right? To make your other kids feel funny. Like when I think about Britney Spears and her 2 kids, and they were, her kids with Kevin K-Fed, right? Kevin Featherline. And he has other kids, and he's taking all this, I think he was taking child support, raising her kids, but she's like, make sure you spend the money only on my kids and not on your other children. And then when you see that division or that difference in how Britney's kids are being treated in that household versus his other kids, there's going to create conflict. There's going to create jealousy. There's going to create unhealthy dynamics with all the other kids, that in his household. So I think my point here is that if you're in a position to have, a kid with the same father of your first child, it is a better decision for the children to do that than to go and find another person. And especially this is a surrogate. Now, if it was about her being in a relationship with him, that's even her business. I don't know why people are so invested, in telling her to leave this situation when it's really not your business. That's her business. That's literally her business. If she wants to stay in a relationship with him, it's her prerogative to stay in a relationship with him. So that's the first thing, right, that I see. I really want to look at it from that perspective. I understand where Khloe is coming from, because at the end of the day, why should she have 10 different baby fathers, 5 different baby fathers, when she can go to a one-stop shop to have her kids, and then later in life, she could go to another stop to find a solid relationship? Because we're learning now in this new world that we're living in, with this new world of divorce, this new dating dynamics of the world, even if you get married, you could get divorced. So this fairy tale that they're pushing about marriage is just not realistic. Better to have the kid from the same father and let those children grow up with a true, strong bond. They have the same cultures, the same dynamics, etc., than to have, different baby daddies. Now, let me address the different baby daddy thing, because at the same time, yes, this is not the case for everyone. And you really have to look at your situation and see if this is a good idea for your situation. Now, let's look at Tristan, right? What has he done to warrant her to dismiss him in a relationship, right? He's cheated, right? And she's claimed that he's good in every other area apart from the loyalty, right? But when you really look at the dynamics, when it comes to cheating, that's not the worst thing that he could have been. There are people out here that have mental health disorders, and I'm not dogging anyone with a mental health disorder, but I just want you to really think about this, right? So maybe somebody is bipolar, maybe somebody has borderline personality disorder, maybe someone has narcissistic personality disorder, and maybe they're not taking their medication and they're not treating it. And then you've suffered in that relationship as a result of that, right? Or some people are actually being physically abused by their spouses. Now, if you are in these situations that actually put you in danger, yes, I would say don't go back to the same man to have your kids. That makes sense, right? Don't go back to the same man to have your kids if you're put in these terrible situations. But in this specific case, and I'll say that because also, in addition to all of those things, you don't want your kids to inherit some of these traits. You wouldn't want your kid to inherit, narcissistic personality disorder, or you wouldn't want your kids to think domestic violence was okay. So you're actually being a good example to your kids by leaving a toxic situation that is extremely harmful like that, right? You're actually doing a service to your kids because you're teaching them, look, this is my value. I've shown the person I'm with, this is my value, and I'm leaving this situation. I'm showing you that better for me to work on myself and leave that situation, right? But when it comes to other dynamics, like the Tristan situation, what he's done is cheat. And when you think about it, a lot of people deal with cheaters. This is not new. And it's so interesting to me how she's getting so much attention for this. And they're not dogging Tristan for it. They're dogging her for it. But when half of the people that are watching, they have also, they're also either cheaters or they're being cheated on. And they're still in their relationship. But there's so much emphasis on Khloe. I think, okay, I get part of it is because she stole him. She stole him, right, from someone else. So I get that. I get that dynamic. Then I wanted to address the fact that, okay, Tristan is already having kids all over the place. So, my first point I broke down. My first point, I broke down that somebody, he's having kids all over the place, right? Oh, damn, I lost my train of thought. But hold on. He's having kids all over the place, Tristan. And so this could say, my first point, I'm talking about Khloe having her kids one-stop shop, right? It's good to have kids that have that bond with a nuclear family, or at least that bond with their siblings that are full-blooded. It's very important. But Tristan has already started having kids, uncontrollably, right? And Khloe met him in that situation. He was already, he already had a woman pregnant when she stole him, right? But there's another dynamic to this that people aren't realizing, and it's the fact that if you're in a situation when you think about the children and their benefit, when it comes to Khloe, well, at the end of the day, if she only has one child for Tristan, that means True is going to have how many half siblings? True is not going to have a full sibling. So let's say she has a child for Tristan, then she has another child for someone else that's random. I think someone's commenting. I'm going to respond here. Someone, so let's say Tristan has a child. He has True, right? Their child. He has True, and then Khloe has a kid for someone else. That's a half sibling for True. But Tristan also has half siblings for True, right? That would make True the only child. Like she wouldn't have any full-blooded siblings. And remember, I talked about before how there is a loyalty. There is a bond in full-blooded siblings in most cases, right? Let's say you've been raised in a healthy situation. There's a loyalty there that is deeper than having half siblings. So now if she does this, True is not going to have anybody in her corner. And I think Khloe's thinking about this. At the end of the day, because Khloe, remember, she's a product of having, half siblings and step siblings. So she understands at the end of the day, she had her two sisters and Rob and a brother, all full. They have the same mom, same dad, even though some people are going to argue that she's not Robert Kardashian's child. But at the end of the day, he raised her as a father. So it's the same thing as an adopted child. When you have the two same parents, there is a bond and there's a loyalty there. And that is what she's doing for True. She doesn't want True to be the loner out of Tristan's kids. Especially when you think about it, True is going to stand out because of her association with the Kardashians and their fame. True is going to stand out from Tristan's other kids. So why would she want her child to be ganged up on by these other kids that Tristan is having potentially? She says, look, let me have another kid for this man. So they have this bond and they are tight together, right? And this bond makes it easier. This bond then makes it easier, when they're having those interpersonal relationships with their other siblings. So these are the things that I think Khloe is thinking about, and the whole Kardashian clan, because all of them do this. They have kids with the same man, even when the man cheats with Scott Disick's case. The man, has an episode in Kanye's case, or the man, Tristan, Travis Scott also apparently cheated, right? Even in these situations, that still happens, right? So at the end of the day, those are my thoughts on this. I think Khloe, she was smart to do what she did. It makes sense. That's the best thing to do, right? That's the best thing for Khloe to have done, in my opinion. But other than that, so I've talked about Khloe, I've talked about the dynamics, the relationship dynamics there. Now let me talk about the people that are responding and the people that are bashing her. A lot of the people that are bashing her, not all of them, but a lot of the people that are bashing her, I don't know how to put this in a way that's not disrespectful, but I think about Kevin Samuels, and as much as Kevin Samuels was, not the best person, right? But he did shine a light on a very important issue within the Black community in America. And that was the fact that a lot of these women, as he said in his words, are just giving their wombs to anybody. They're just letting anyone impregnate them. They don't know the standard of person that person is. They don't know anything about the person. They just allow they just have kids for anybody. And they end up with 3 baby daddies or whatever. And I did not think that was a real thing until I watched his show. And I watch a lot of these shows, and I find that when women tend to be a certain age, not even a certain age, sometimes they're 22 and they've already had 2 kids. And that's a big problem in the Black community. They've had 2 kids by 2 different men, and they haven't been married, and power to you. Power to you if you feel marriage isn't the thing for you. But I think single parenthood is a part of what keeps the Black people, the Black community, in perpetual poverty. So I think as Black people, we really need to be mindful when we see an example like Khloe Kardashian, who's actually making the right decision for her children and their mental health in the long run. We shouldn't come and attack her, especially if our situation, has been that of having multiple baby daddies. Like, it's not Khloe that you should be coming for. You should be looking within and asking yourself, why is this something that has been okay for me to do? Why have I taught myself that it's okay for me to do this? And there's so many other resources out there to watch. I love Kendra G's show. I love a lot of these shows. But ask yourselves the question, should I really be having kids out of wedlock? Not the worst thing in the world, but hey, is that the right thing? And more importantly, shouldn't I be inspecting the characteristics, the dynamics of whoever the father of my kids are, as Khloe has clearly done? Shouldn't I be inspecting that before I decide, let me go ahead and have a child? So all the people that are coming after Khloe, especially the ones with kids, my questions are, do you have multiple baby daddies? Have you inspected your baby daddy? Did you have a kid out of wedlock? Did you have a kid when you were in your teens? Because that's another problem. These are problems. These are issues that are keeping the Black community in perpetual poverty. So don't come to Khloe and bash her when you can look within and ask yourselves, what can I do to improve myself? Anyway, those are my thoughts. Let me know your thoughts. Leave a comment down below. I'm here in London. I'm traveling right now. I'm on vacation. Wasn't going to post, but I saw this channel is getting a lot of views. I saw on my YouTube, I'm getting a lot of views. I saw like 50 something thousand views on a video of mine, or 60 something thousand views on I think it's up to 70 now. Getting a lot of views. So I'm like, yo, I have to post so you guys can know I'm here. But I'm on vacation, so I'm going to post as much as possible, but stay tuned, guys. Those are my thoughts on Khloe. Do you agree? Do you disagree? Let me know your thoughts. Leave a comment down below. Don't forget to like, follow, subscribe, all the above. My name is Kenim, and I'll see you next time. A peace. End stream. I'm going to end it here.